What's up, everybody? Welcome to World Soccer Daily, an Ark Soccer Collective original. I'm your host, Kurtis Ottey, here with Wendell. It's been a while since we've been on air, but we're back, and we got a good show for you guys. We're going to talk some international friendlies. We're going to talk an exciting game, I guess you could say, against Brazil and Japan. We're going to get back into club play and go from there. But first, Wendell, how much are you going to spend on them StockX tickets?
It depends on what location.
Yeah. I was looking at those. I was looking at the tickets for the finals, and it's in comparison to the finals of past, and I'm just like, welcome to America.
Yeah. Ain't no credit card is big enough for that.
Yeah. But again, that's one of those things for me. We're in America. This is how they do. This is how we do sports. We're gonna make you pay for it. But
Exactly.
let's get into a little bit of the USA versus Ecuador friendly. I'm gonna just start off by saying Fuller and Balogun has not only impressed me in this game, he's shown me that we have somebody who can be our striker. I was throughout the first half, I was sitting there thinking to myself, man, this guy's really going for it. He's going to try and score a goal. And like, I've never seen him play that way. How do you feel about how did you feel about how he played?
He looked inspired. I think that now he knows that there's a competition within the squad. And I think he came out and he really wanted to show that like he's that top dog, but he should be our starting nine.
I agree. And I mean, hats off to the entire team because I want to give another shout out to Chris Richards who played out of his mind. I will say my one critique for the team is I love Weston McKennie anywhere he plays on the field. He's my guy. He's one of the new guys on the not new guy. He's a vet at this point, but he's one of those guys who can play anywhere on the field. But we need that guy playing in the defensive third. For the beginning of throughout the first half, I was sitting there like, was it like why is he so high up the field? Like this is kind of dangerous for us. And I mean, I get it. He's creating chances for us, but I prefer him to be playing in that that holding central defensive mid role. And it worked out in the end, but I don't think we can do that. I don't think we can get away with that long term, if that makes any sense. But hey, we're doing what we can, and I think that there's a good chance that this game kind of jumpstarts us into a different level of soccer. And what I mean by that is I feel that we now know we can compete. I mean, granted, in the FIFA World Cup rankings, we're ahead of Ecuador, but if you look at us player for player, skill for skill, I do believe we were in a sense outmatched on paper, and we stepped up. We didn't need Christian Pulisic throughout the entirety of the game. We played with different players, we played with different pace, played with different mentalities, but it worked out for us. I wanna caveat that by saying I think that Ecuador is a team that always gets into the World Cup, or not, when they play, they're a team that you have to game plan for. You have to make adjustments for. And I think Pochettino did that wonderfully throughout this entire game. I know there's been a lot of talk about how Pochettino's play is, how the team's performed since he's taken over. But this is just another step to me. This is just another game to me that shows that we're making the right.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it's hard being a new coach coming in, and your player pool is so large, and you're really trying to get a mix of new players, old players. And his starting roster has flipped over so much just because he's trying to find those right combinations of players and stuff like that. So like the fact that we're getting, we're not losing all of the games, or we're tying, or we're winning, especially with that change in the starting lineup, says a lot to him and to how hard the players are working too.
Yeah, I mean, I was live texting the entire game to no response from anybody, but the just going back and looking at how I was talking, because I mean, I was on cloud nine throughout the second half of that game, because I'm like looking at this game like, man, we might do like it was one of those games for me where it felt like even though we were down 1-0, we were playing like it was still tied. And once we tied the game, we were playing like we can get that win. And if we played like that every single time we come out to play, I'm not saying we're gonna surprise anybody in the like. Let me speak to the fans and just be honest about it. We're not gonna win this World Cup. There are too many teams that are just ahead of us. That we're close. We're getting there. The goal for this World Cup is to get out of that first round in the round of 16. That's always where we crash and burn. This team right now, with the players they have and how they've aligned themselves showed me that this is our chance in America to finally make that next step. My hope and prayer is that we do not see this as we need to be, let's say, I don't know, not finals. I mean, I don't think anybody's staying finals, but I don't want the exit for us in the World Cup to be a death sentence for Pochettino, because I know for a fact once we get these results, there's going to be talks about who should we get in next to move the team up to another level. And I think the U.S. benefits from a coach who's going to be there for years to come. I think Pochettino needs to be there for the next 2-3 cycles of World Cups, not just this one. What do you think?
No, yeah, no, I agree. When you when you get rid of a coach after, you know, losing in the World Cup, more to say, especially with a young roster like this, players that are getting their fourth, fifth, sixth caps for the team. Like, when you take away that coach and you take away that consistency, that really hurts the team. It hurts the country. It hurts the morale of the players.
Yeah, it does. And just to add to that, I really do believe that we are looking at our best collection of players ever. And it's not getting it recognized. Maybe more so because the people who are in media are former soccer players for the U.S. national team, and they're kind of guarding their legacy in a sense. But we have to acknowledge and tip our hats to these guys. These guys are playing at clubs that we couldn't even imagine growing up seeing U.S. national team players playing back in the day. And that goes to tell you that we have to give these guys a little more respect. So like the conundrum that we had when we were when the pod was off with Christian Pulisic taking a break, we have to give them those breaks. We have to give our players these breaks. We have to rest our players. We can't just say, "Oh, you're not playing club. It's an international break. We need you over here to play." No, we have to start letting our younger guys in there, building this team, building more players, because that's the key to us being successful long term. I think Christian Pulisic is a great player. I think Tim Way is a great player. I think Tyler Adams is a great player, even though he's not really in the cycle this go around because of injuries. If I'm not mistaken, but all of these guys need to motivate and inspire the other guys, the younger guys, the Kayvon Sullivans, and the younger guys who are coming up to want to get those chances and those international breaks to show that they can also be on the roster. Haji Wright impressed me as well when he came onto the field. I'm not a fan of where he plays club ball at. I think he should have stayed somewhere in like there. I think he should have stayed in the Eredivisie or gone somewhere else. But he's showing that he can also be something for us off the bench. And that's the other situation I find us in, where we need to figure out who's going to be coming off the bench for us and playing in those types of roles. But for the U.S. Soccer Federation, I think this was a huge win, and I really want to see us go from here and build up into something else. What do you think before we close off and go to Brazil and Japan?
Yeah, no, for sure. This is definitely a stepping stone. I think that we collectively know the games that we should be winning, and we know the games that we should be playing hard to stay in when we're playing. And I think Ecuador, for what it's worth, is a game that we should be playing hard to stay in. I think most of the South American countries and the Central American countries, we should be fighting to stay in, if not winning them. Mexico, for example, we should be winning every game against Mexico. And I think that, the more the players play together and, they'll see that, they get that culture. Our culture, we had no culture amongst our team.
For sure.
No culture. So we could finally have an identity now. I think, we're starting to get an identity now of, players that they just don't give up. And I think that's really what fans want to see, is just a team that doesn't give up.
100%. And just to give Ecuador a little bit of credit, they had some players in there. They had Valencia playing up top. He scored that goal. He showed us what he could do. They also had Estupiñán. I always fumble over his name, but they had players out there that could win the game. Kentry Paez was out there. He's a Chelsea loan player. He's gonna be a star in a couple of years. Right now, he's young, so he'll get there. But we played a team that was capable of making this a 3-0 thrashing. Excuse me. If we didn't plan and prepare. And the U.S. national team showed me that these guys are maturing, and they're showing that they're willing to step up to any competition that we have and play like that. Now, the big thing for me is making sure that we keep that mentality, because the big problem with our country, with the big problem with our federation, I'm sorry, not our country, the federation is we tend to be prisoners of the moment, and we tend to say once it goes south, all right, now it's time to think about who we need to fire, who we need to replace, or who needs to be playing instead of this person. We need to let these guys figure it out. That's
I
what I
agree.
that's the big thing for me, and I really do hope that that is what happens for this team. But only time will tell because who knows what's going to happen next with this federation. It's almost like United, who we'll talk about later, but that's where I'm gonna leave that one at. But let's move on to Brazil versus Japan, the friendly that happened today. 3-2. I'm gonna start off by saying this. Personally, I do believe that there is an advantage for Brazil going into this World Cup because of one thing and one thing only: the climate. Most teams that are coming over from Europe are not going to be used to how hot it is when we play when these national teams when these games are going. There's going to be water breaks. There's going to be hydration breaks, just like in Brazil.
For sure.
That's part number one. Before we get into the game, that's part number one for me for Brazil. Part number two: Brazil had the World Cup what 3 cycles ago, and I can't count. I'm
Something
sorry.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they didn't win. This is the closest they're getting to a home. This is the closest they're getting to home field advantage for a while, probably. They're gonna come out and step up and show people how they can play. And they have guys like Esteval, João Pedro, Paquetá still playing for these guys. They have a myriad of players who can control the game and make something of nothing. And they also have, in my opinion, one of the greatest coaches of all time, Carlo Ancelotti. They'll be able to figure it out. With that being said, they lost 3-2 to Brazil today. I mean 2-3 to Japan today. And just from watching the game, here's what I took away from that. One is a friendly, so in the grand scheme of things, how much does it matter? Two, there were the first two goals that went in were defensive blunders all the way. The first goal was a bad pass in the backfield. Second goal went right off of, I forgot who it went right off of into the goal. Japan, I'm not taking anything away from them. They're a good team. They're a great team that's every year seems to be progressing. They have guys coming up playing all over Europe, all across Europe, and they're gonna be a team that you have to game plan for. But at the same time, I don't think this is much to worry about for Brazil.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel okay. So when you're preparing for a World Cup, I think every game that leads up to it is important because that's reps. You got to get reps in. Friendly, no friendly, in the grand scheme of things in the world rankings, I guess for points in the world rankings, it doesn't really mean much. You need to have a confidence. Your team has to have a confidence. You need to be in a flow state off the bat. It's hard to grow into the tournament. Teams that grow into the tournament usually flame out.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to hit the ground running in that tournament, and you have to be able to sustain that level.
So do you think that? But where do you think Brazil falls right now if they go into the World Cup? Do you think they're a competitor? Do you think they're a shell of what they used to be?
I think they're a competitor, but they need to realize. I think the issue with Brazil's team is they have a bunch of players that expect to be starting, and it seems like a bunch of egos. And egos hurt you in a 3-game group stage play because you have everybody trying to get in, and there's no flow within that team.
Let me hit you on the ego thing for a minute, because I
All
remember
right.
once upon a time Brazil won a World Cup, and in the next cycle of World Cups they were saying Ronaldinho had an ego, Ronaldo had an ego, and these guys can't be in the same locker room together. These guys still figure it out and they still play well together at the end of the day. It's just about those moments in the knockout stages for them that always defines Brazil for me. In Brazil, when Germany did what they did to them in horrific fashion, okay, yeah, maybe they dropped the ball there, but I do think that is going to be on the mind of not just the Brazilian players who are on the roster now, who saw that as youth players, who saw that growing up, and they don't want that to happen to them. But it's also going to be one of those things where the fans of the Brazilian community together is going to let these guys know, hey, you're close to home. We need a win. We need something.
Yeah.
The Brazilian fans want and need these guys to step up, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to hit the psyche of these guys. I do believe these guys have a passion that reminds me of the old Jogo Bonito days that people talk about and romanticize. But we need to make sure that tempers are that mentalities are even keel, and that's where Carlo Ancelotti comes into play for me. Carlo Ancelotti is, in my opinion, a top 5 coach, maybe top 2. That's gonna be a little bit of a discussion for people. I'm sure I'll get killed in the comments for that somewhere down the road. But it's just the proof is in the pudding. He's coached at Chelsea, he's coached at Real Madrid, he's coached at all these big clubs. He knows the pressure and he knows how to deal with that pressure that most people wouldn't be able to deal with, especially with a team like Brazil. So I believe that will put them ahead of the 8 ball, along with the climate that they're heading into coming into this US Mexico Canada World Cup.
So do you think he's going to have a issue with finding that perfect starting lineup?
I think there's multiple starting lineups. I'm not going to break down which ones will work and which ones, because I personally don't know. I'm not Carlo Ancelotti. I don't have to figure that out right now. But I do believe there are multiple lineups with multiple players, because look at the guys they have coming out. Like, I'm a Chelsea fan, so I'm biased. So I'm going to say Estevao is the guy. He's coming.
He's nice.
João
He's
Pedro,
nice.
another Chelsea player, great. Bruno Guimaraes, he's gonna be out there doing his thing too. Paquetá to me is the constant for them. I think he's gonna be the engine for this team that determines how far they go, because he's been there before. He was in the last World Cup. He's playing for West Ham. He's gonna stay. He's a passionate player at West Ham. He plays with pride, and I feel like he's gonna do that 10 times over for Brazil. So I do believe that they have everything, every piece they need. They just need to put the pieces together in order to dominate the World Cup.
That's true. I mean, they did have Vinny and Martinelli on the field at the same time. So I don't know how you play 2 left wingers on the pitch at the same time, but I guess.
Well, okay, all right. And here's why I give the pushback on this for guys too, because everybody's like, oh well, these guys are 2 left wingers. They're soccer players at the end of the day. Put them somewhere on the field, let them do their thing. We play pickup
right here next to each other the whole time.
you gotta figure it out some way, somehow. You can't have 2 guys that talented not on the field. Somebody's got to move around. Somebody's got to figure it out, and they got to go from there. But let's talk about Japan for a second as well and give them their credit. These guys know how to play team ball.
Yeah.
They're always going to be a spoiler for somebody. In this World Cup, I see no difference. They're going to spoil it for somebody. I truly believe that Japan's trajectory is something that the U.S., just to go back to the U.S. national team, obviously, because that's all I talk about, is how they rose throughout the years is how we need to rise. But somehow we just don't see, maybe how they do it doesn't work for us, but we haven't figured out a way to have that consistent progress that they have. Because like I said, it was 2-0 at one point, and these guys didn't even look like they were stressed about that. They played their game, they came back, and they upset them. That gives you some sort of, like, that to me, that strikes fear to anybody who has to play them in the World Cup. Like, at any moment they can turn this game around, and this is just a friendly. Imagine what they're going to do when it really counts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they ain't scared of nobody.
Yeah, Matoma.
They said, we coming. We want all the smoke. We coming.
Yeah, and that's how you have to be when you're a team like that. And again, when it comes time, that's where we need to be as a country, where when we're playing these big guys, it's like, okay, we're down right now. Like, just like how we were with the game against Ecuador. We were down for a minute, but we came back and we tied it. We didn't win, but we tied it. That mentality has to come over to the U.S. national team somehow. I wish I could just get some sort of machine and just get that mentality and just drop it into Atlanta, Georgia, and that new facility that they got over there.
I think the difference, I do see similarities, like when we're just watching Brazil grow up. Like when we were growing up, you see one player go to Europe, he comes back to play for the national team, and all of a sudden you see 2 or 3 players playing over in Europe, and they come back, play for the national team. Now it's the whole squad is pretty much playing in Europe. And I think we've kind of seen that with the U.S. team. But I think the difference with the U.S. team is when they come back to play for the national team, there's an air about them. They're like, oh, well, I do play in Europe, so like I should be starting. Okay, you know what I mean? There's no like, not really sacrifice, but they're not willing to, let the other man play if they're playing better.
Well, for that, I will say we are in a different situation than the Brazilian national team, where those guys in Brazil might just be as good as the guys who are playing in Europe. We just don't know it yet. Like Estevao, you look at his highlights for Palermo's, I think it was. I probably said the wrong team. Don't kill me for that in the comments either. But he looked like what he looks like now for Chelsea in that Liverpool game. He plays that way all the time, and it was just a matter of time before he got to Europe to do it himself. Same thing goes for João Pedro and so on and so forth with all those guys. Now, when you bring it back to the U.S. national team, yeah, it's a smaller sample size. Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, they're the only guys over there. I mean, not just those guys, but you know what I mean. The guys we have in Europe are the only guys, and you know who the guys in Europe are. We have some other guys who aren't on the national team who are getting overlooked for MLS players, which is another good thing. But for the most part, we have to give them the guys those credit until we have a bigger selection pool that can make these guys say, I gotta work and I gotta have that mentality every time I come out there and play. That can't be forced on Christian Pulisic. And I feel like that's where the media gets it wrong, is everything that you think he is, or not you specifically, but everything that people think he is on the internet or on the media is not what it. You can't really compare it. It's apples to oranges. This guy is playing at AC Milan and he's bagging goals and he's looking like one of their best players. You can't tell him, hey, this guy might be able to take your spot, because there's no way.
Yeah. So do you think we should, like, not really put the blame on, but you think we should hold the other players, like your Weston McKennie's, your Tyler Adams, players that have been on the team for a minute? Do you think we should put more pressure on them to step up and be like, look, yeah, Christian's our guy, but we support him, and we're just as good. You can count on us just like you can count on him.
Yeah, yes and no, because one, I will say I use Christian Pulisic as an example, but I don't think he's the best player we have on the team. I do think we have a team that has a lot of good players, but there's nobody in my mind that sticks out as, we need to make sure this guy is on his P's and Q's so that we can win. Somebody has to be that guy for us. And I still don't think that's shown itself. I think for a minute we thought it could be Weston McKennie. I thought it could be Weston McKennie at least. And I feel like through injuries and time off of the field is kind of slowed up for him. Tyler Adams, the same situation. I thought at one point he was also going to be the guy that led this team and was like, okay, that's our guy. Jedi Robinson, maybe, I don't know. There's so many guys who are just this close to becoming the outright star of the U.S. national team, but nobody's done it yet. And I do believe we have to find that guy before we get to the World Cup, but we might not.
Hey, coming out party, Malik Tillman. That's all I'm saying. Malik Tillman.
I like Malik Tillman's game a lot, but I do think that's another player where it's like, I gotta see you do it. I got to see you do it at a level that I've never seen anybody do it before I can say, you're the guy that we're going to put this in. We're going to make you our engine, like how I said Paqueta would be the engine for Brazil, in my opinion. But who knows? But again, that just comes with growing as a national team. We're still very young as a national team. And like always, we go back to talking about the U.S. national team, even though we're talking about Brazil, Japan. But again, that's just how it goes. So let's get into some club play before we end this episode. We're going to talk about the EPL first, and we'll work our way down into the Bundesliga. Let's talk about Liverpool versus United. And I want to get your opinions on this because you have some Newcastle paraphernalia in the background, and certain somebody is over in Liverpool, maybe struggling, maybe not. I don't know. I have different opinions on that. I'm sure you have yours as well. But we also have to talk about United as well. They are struggling. I don't know how to fix the dumpster fire, but I can tell you one thing: it's a dumpster fire. I don't know how. I mean, I think everybody sees it at this point that they're getting rid of players and these players are going off to play other places and they're becoming successful while the team is also sinking or in a downward spiral every day. And Liverpool, off a loss to Chelsea, now not number one in the EPL, Arsenal's overtaken them. They have to prove something today. They have to prove something in this game. But again, even though United is struggling, even though Liverpool is struggling, these are one of those games where it can go either way because it's a rivalry in a sense. Where do you think this game goes? I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. Where do you think this game goes? How do you think Isak performs if he gets on the field? And what do you think United needs to do to win?
I think just based off of talent alone, it's Liverpool's going to win. Will it be easy? TBD. But I do think Liverpool's going to win. Florian Wirtz has been struggling. Isak's been struggling. But I think talent prevails, and one team has Mo Salah and one team doesn't. So that's always a factor.
So here's where I'll give you a little pushback on that. I don't believe this is a game that Liverpool is just automatically going to win because, like I said previously, it's a rivalry game. Even though Manchester United is struggling, Manchester United has this thing where they pretend that they're Manchester United when Sir Alex Ferguson was coaching, and they win a game that they're not supposed to win. They have no business winning because that's just what they do. Now, with Liverpool, I do think they have a problem that I always thought was going to happen. I just didn't say it out loud because I didn't want to put the horse before the carriage. I don't understand how you sign Ekitike, then you go out and then sign Isak, but don't do anything to fix your defense. I think that's going to be the biggest problem for them throughout the rest of this season, especially when they have to go back to playing teams like Arsenal and Chelsea again when they meet them on the rematch, and Tottenham and all these guys. There's clearly holes. There's clearly a team that has there's a way to beat them. You just have to figure it out. Will United figure it out? That's to be determined. But again, Almiron needs something. He needs something bad. And this might be the game where he's in there like he's trying to figure something out to get this win, to get the monkey off his back and save his job essentially. With that being said, Alexander Isak also has a monkey on his back. He needs to go out there and prove that he can be the striker that they paid for. But again, I don't know how this works out. I don't know how they work this out with Liverpool in a sense, because I do believe we're seeing the beginning of what might be not a downward spiral, but a struggle a bit. And when you get to a point where it's like, wait a minute, we spent all this money and we're still not successful, that's when the fans turn on you. That's when we're looking at Slot and saying, what's going on, man? You got everything you need. I don't know, everything you got, everything you wanted, maybe not everything they needed, because again, defense. How do you think this all works? And I want you to actually, since you're the Newcastle fan, tell me what you think Isak needs to do.
Let me first start by saying, boo. No, I think that he first of all, as the Newcastle fan, he did himself a disservice this summer by not training. Whether you wanted to leave or not, I think that training by yourself and training with the first team of a Champions League side, two completely different things. You know, you don't get up to game speed training by yourself. So I think that you could have made it known that you wanted to leave and also have trained with your current club, being under contract at that current club. I think he did himself a disservice this summer by not doing that. One. Two, back to your Ekitike, going out and sign him and then sign Isak. I think that for Liverpool, that was a great move. High key, it was a power move. Like we're gonna get him and we're gonna get him. You know what I'm saying? So but injuries always happen.
Injuries do always happen, but you sign 2 stars. And to me, it's like the quarterback slogan, the quarterback phrase everybody says, you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 0 quarterbacks. I don't know who's number 1 and number 2 in my opinion. I think Isak is when he's on, Isak is probably one of the best striker in the world in my opinion, maybe behind Haaland and Kane and all these guys. He's one of those guys who can change the pace, change the trajectory of a game with a couple moves. Ekitike to me is a guy who can become that. He's not there yet, but he can get there. I don't understand why you sign both of them, because somebody has to play Robin in that situation. I don't think either of them want to play Robin, and that's just me being speculative at this point. I don't think either of them want to play Robin, and I don't think they're going to do a Chelsea with Drogba and Anelka and have them both out there at the same time. They have too many guys that they have to put on the wing. They have too many guys that they got to put in the midfield for that to happen. So I don't really know what you do with this team in this state. I truly believe, just like how most of mainstream legacy media was saying, you guys need to invest in something else. You got Ekitike. He's proven, while you were going through the whole thing with Isak, he's proven that he can do it himself. Let him do that. And then you find something else, and then maybe get something cheaper. Another striker that can come in and take the pressure off of him. But to have both of those guys for the price you paid for them, it sets you up for, in my opinion, failure if they don't work out. Because everybody's going to be like, we spent all this money on these 2 strikers and we needed this, we needed that, we needed this, we needed that.
Sure.
So I don't know how that works out. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it can backfire, but I also think that's kind of the beauty in it too, right? Like, for a fact, both of them want to get on the field. So they're going to give you everything that they have day in, day out. And that's, I feel like it's contagious. For example, back when Alabama was dominating, they didn't just go out and sign, the number one in every position. They went out and got the number one corner. They got the number 13 corner. They got the number, 46 corner. So it created competition within that team because I'm looking at you across. I'm like, yeah, I'm a dog too. You know what I
True,
mean? So
very
like,
true.
I feel like that's kind of the beauty in them signing both. And I think for once they get things going, it's gonna benefit Liverpool tremendously, tremendously because you're never gonna have an off form striker. Essentially, you always gonna have
And,
a guy that's in his bag.
in theory,
In,
in theory.
in theory, in theory, in
But right
theory.
now you have one that's very on form and one
No,
who's
that's fair. That's fair.
and one who's getting ready to be looked at as what did we pay for? What did we pay for? And I mean, I'm not saying that what's happening with Isak is forever because it's not going to be
Right.
forever.
He's a professional.
He's going to get back to form and he's
Yeah.
going to play well. But it doesn't look good right now. And that's what I'm kind of focused in on because you can lose. I'm not going to say you can lose the EPL right now, but you can lose yourself some points and then like in this United game like again, I might sound like the crazy guy, but I might sound like the genius when we come back on that air and United pulls off a 2-1 victory by the grace of who knows what.
Right.
But that to me is a situation that Liverpool didn't need to put themselves in to begin with. And that's where I'm coming from with this. They could have spread that money how much did they spend on Isak again? 100?
It was 150 like American dollar, so it was like 160 something.
Yeah.
67.
Too much money, but that's another conversation for another day. All across the world of soccer.
Hey, we'll take it.
But you spent all that money and now it looks like you're not going to get the return on investment for the time being. And that's going to make your fans go crazy. That's going to make the team, I don't know, I'm not going to say split up, but it's going to have the team feeling indifferent about the situation because they think we were winning last year. Now we have all this and we're not. So that's just kind of where I'm standing on that. But just to switch gears, let's talk about United again and kind of get more into depth about this. They are struggling as well. They need a win. You have Højlund, Napoli, bagging goals. Rashford playing out of his mind, playing like the rent is due. You have Garnacho not playing as well as the other two, but he's also showing that if you give him the time and you give him time on the field, he can make something happen. He can help you out. What is wrong with United? And I mean that in the most sincere way. I'm not trying to be a United hater. I am a United hater, but I'm not trying to be a United hater. I'm trying to be as in the middle of the road about this as possible. But this is not the team that we grew up with. This is not the United of past. And it's been years of this. It's been we spend money on a guy. I say Xerxes. Where is he at? Now they're talking about he wants to leave. Everybody's trying to leave United all of a sudden. Everybody's trying to hit the road. What's going on? You guys are not doing what got you to be the stars under Sir Alex Ferguson. And I'm really confused as to how they fix this and how they don't become irrelevant. Years ago, not to cut you off again, but years ago, Manchester United was the team. Manchester City was just a thought. Now it's switched, and it looks like United is about to go trend down and be a mid-table team for the next couple of years. What do you do?
Well, it used to mean something to play for Manchester United, right? Like when you got there, you made it. Now players are looking like, I got here, I made it, but now I can take a little bit off. I can relax a little bit. I don't have to train as hard. I don't have to work as hard. Bruno Fernandes is busting his tail every week, week in, week out, to carry players who he probably feel like Kobe. Why would I pass you the ball? You rebound. You know what I mean? Like,
and just to mention also another player I didn't mention, Mason Mount has just disappeared from soccer altogether. In my opinion,
I thought he was in Saudi Arabia.
I forgot what game I was watching, but he came onto the field and I was like, oh, he does still play for United. That's how bad it's gotten that I forgot that he was over there in the first place for a little while because it's just he's not out as much. I'm sure there's injuries that you have to take into account for that, but at the same time, it's like these guys were something when you signed them, and now they're nothing. And we can't keep saying it's the players. We can't keep saying it's the Rashfords, the Garnachos who don't want to listen, who don't want to play with the team, don't want to cooperate, or they're nonchalant or whatever. It has to be the spotlight has to be turned back on the club, not just Amaran, but the technical directors who make these decisions, the ownership. It has to be said that these guys aren't doing what they need to do to make sure that their team is successful as they were in that Sir Alex Ferguson era. And just to go back to what I always say and beating the dead horse, United did not have a plan after Sir Alex Ferguson, and it shows every single year. Every single year has been a struggle since David Moyes was there. They don't know what they're doing, and the first thing they do is sign a player, fire the coach. Sign a player, fire the coach. Sign a player, fire the coach. And it's just like, you guys aren't figuring it out like you need to. You're just getting impatient, almost essentially like the U.S. national team.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they got the money for it. So, high key, hey, after I'm around, if y'all want to sign me and fire me, I'm cool with that too. I take it.
Same.
Take it. Yeah, it's a weird cycle that they're in right now. It's just it seems like there's a lot of decision makers at the top that don't want to make decisions, or they make too many decisions.
I think it's the latter. I think it's the latter. I think it's too many people, too many chefs in the kitchen trying to make a decision that are not allowing the team to just develop and figure it out, not on their own, but figure it out with the parameters they set.
Right. It'll take 20 people to boil a pot of water.
Every time you look at it, they sign a guy. I was high on Josh Xerxes when he got to United. I thought to myself, he might be the one that kind of changes everything around. But now he's looking to get out of there, and it's just like, he didn't even last a year with them, and he's already trying to get out. And this is going back to what I said earlier. Is like, you gotta let things happen. You gotta let these guys play. You gotta let these guys get their confidence, and it's just not happening for some reason. Again, I'm not a manager in Europe. I don't have a UEFA coaching license, but you got to figure it out. Whoever you hire has to figure it out, and they can't just be stubborn and in their ways.
Yeah, no, I agree. You gotta have somebody that's hard nosed, somebody that's willing to, make people uncomfortable within the squad, because that's what they are right now. They're too comfortable. Everybody in that organization is way too comfortable, and I think that their fans have supported them day in, day out, through thick and thin. I think they deserve better than that.
I agree. So what do you think I forgot what you said earlier. What do you think what did you guess the result would be?
I'm gonna go 2-1 Liverpool. 2-1 or 3-1 Liverpool.
I'm gonna go the opposite, and I'm gonna say 2-1 Manchester United. I really do think that this is gonna be one of those games that we're like, huh? We're gonna be be very confused at how it ends, and how they kind of, for a second, look like they may have found some sort of light at the end of the tunnel to become a great team and figure it all out. But we'll eventually see 3-4 weeks from now that they go back to regular United.
When they lose to Sunderland?
Yeah, essentially. All right, let's switch gears to the Bundesliga. We got number 1 versus number 2. Bayern Munich versus Borussia Dortmund. Couple of things I want to say about that game, but let's start with Jude Bellingham's little brother, Joe Bellingham, and the family, and let's kind of tie that into this situation as you see. First of all, do you think he's going to play this game?
If he's not going to start, I don't think he's going to start. I think if it's 3-0 at halftime, I think he might come on in like the 5th minute, but I don't think he starts. Especially
with the rumored exits. And let's get into it and talk about the whole drama surrounding him, along with his parents and what's going on with his father not being happy with the amount of playtime he gets, and trying to storm into the locker room and make himself be known and let his feelings be known. How do you view that? How do you view that, and how do you view the Bellingham family because of that? Because I personally think there's no room for it. This is an adult playing an adult sport. I mean, he's 18, correct? How old is Joe Bellingham?
He's 19 or 20.
19, 20.
Something like that. I think
he's an adult. He's an adult at the end of the day. He's 20 years old. He's an adult at the end of the day. And it kind of feels like it's deja vu all over again, but on the club level, as opposed to what it was with Gio Reyna with the U.S. national team, where a father is getting involved and kind of making his presence known, and why he feels like his son should have more playing time. Even the English great Jeff Hurst said that Joe Bellingham's father was an absolute disgrace for what he's doing. But what do you think the effects of this will be for the club, and not just for the club, but for Joe Bellingham's future when he eventually leaves? Because there's rumored exits, but at some point it's going to happen for him. like it happens for every Borussia Dortmund player. They eventually go elsewhere.
I think first of all, they need to tighten up security.
That is true. That is very true.
Yeah, they gotta hire a new security guard. But I don't know. Coming from a guy whose dad is always in his life, like you want your parents to stick up for you and to support you and do stuff like that. But at the same time, like you said, he a grown man, and this is not rec league. Like you're not playing for no disrespect, like a D2 team. You're not playing
Yeah,
Division 1. You
I
in the
got you.
Bundesliga. Like this is grown man soccer. Like we playing to eat.
For sure.
So like you gotta back up a little bit. He's a grown man. He's gonna make his decision. He's gonna get on the field. Sometimes he'll be off the field. It's every player runs through a cycle. They play, they don't play. There's injuries. You never know what's gonna happen. So there could be an injury one day, and he gets skipped over now because
Yeah.
his dad acting crazy.
Doesn't want to deal with the family,
Yeah,
and how quick he's fallen from grace. Because I remember during the FIFA World Club Cup, I'm watching him play, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna do some things for
it looked
Borussia
good.
Dortmund. He's gonna play. He's gonna show these guys that he's just as good as his brother. Usually, you don't see a younger brother playing like on a level like that compared to their star older brother. No disrespect to other players like Ethan and Mbappe, but it's just one of those things where the brothers aren't as necessarily as talented or look as talented coming out of the gates. He did look like that for us. I also want to tie that back into the game with Munich because again, this is a rivalry game. Anything can happen, and it's 1 versus 2. And Borussia Dortmund could call their number and win the game, and he could either be on the field or not for that. But who knows at this point? Who knows what roster they put out there? Who knows if he gets on in the 75th minute? Who knows how it plays out? Also with Harry Kane, exactly. Also with Harry Kane, also with Harry Kane out there playing in form, it's like this is your chance to be on the same stage as Harry Kane and Bayern Munich, the great team that is, the great team that wins, and you can show that you are the player that deserves to have that play time. But again, maybe his father kind of ruined that for him on this one. I don't know.
You still gotta I think it still is up to the player to let your play do the talking. You know what I mean? Like all the outside noise is what it's gonna be, but when you inside those lines, how you gonna act? What you gonna do?
I agree. So where do you think this lands? Where do you think this game lands? Borussia Dortmund, Munich. What's the score for you?
Just I haven't seen a lot of Dortmund play this year so far, but I think Harry Kane gets him a couple. I think one's a PK and one's in the run of play. So I probably go 2-0 or 2-1.
I don't want to interrupt the pod, but it looks like Christian Pulisic went down an injury in the Australia game. We'll talk about that.
No.
We'll probably talk about that next episode, but I just got the update on my phone.
Oh no.
But yeah, where do you? So I'm sorry. What were you saying? I lost my train of thought there.
No, you good. You good. Yeah, I think a two, a couple of Harry Kane goals.
Okay.
He's as consistent a striker as you're gonna probably find in today's game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the numbers don't lie. He scored goals.
Yeah.
So
he scores at will.
Yeah, he does. So I think it's gonna be another one of those goals. I mean, another one of those games. And I say 2-0 probably.
Okay. I'm probably gonna go 3-0 with Munich. I think they're playing very well, but again, I don't hope it's 2-0. I hope it's a better game. I don't hope it's 3. I hope it's a better game than that, but I just don't see with everything happening, Borussia Dortmund being focused for this game. And more often than not, Munich kind of gets the best of Borussia Dortmund. The Borussia Dortmund, in my opinion, has been somewhat of the junior varsity squad for Bayern Munich in terms of players just going straight over to Bayern Munich if they don't go elsewhere in Europe. So again, I do think the Munich calls their number and wins this game, but I am interested to see how Joe Bellingham plays or if he plays in that matter. So
do you think Dortmund ever gets back to that level where they're neck and neck with Bayern Munich like they were a couple years ago? When didn't Dortmund they lost the league on like the last game of the season or something like that?
Yeah. So my thing with Borussia Dortmund is they have to decide they want to be that club. I think Borussia Dortmund's mentality is, or their business system is similar to what Arsenal's was under Arsene Wenger back in the day, where it's winning is cool, but making money is more important. We're going to sell these guys as soon as we can while the iron's hot. And there's no disrespect to that, because for Arsene Wenger, it worked for a long time. The fans didn't love it after a while, but once Arsene Wenger left and it started going south for a while, they missed it. So it can always appear as something that's good for the club and bad for the club, depending on how you're looking at it as a fan, as a supporter, because you can also be the team that's taking these risks and falling further down the ladder. For me, if Borussia Dortmund wants to become the new Bayern Munich, they have to take a page out of Xabi Alonso's book and just create teams that want to that are designed to win. Their teams are designed to win, but at the end of the day, if they're winning too much, that player that's helping them win is gone. He's out the door quickly. So it's just on where the board or whoever makes the decisions for that club wants to do with this team. Because I wholeheartedly believe Bayern Munich is a very beatable team in the Bundesliga. It's just nobody else wants to be that team. Xabi, if you wanted another team to do it, they would be able to put those things in place like they did with Xabi Alonso to play spoiler.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's just one of those things. I wish they were, but I don't know. It's all on what they want to do. It's all on what they want to do.
I don't see it in the next probably 4 or 5 years. I think they will be where they're at. Maybe they'll make another jump in about 5 or 6 years to, be able to compete at that super top level. But as of right now, it ain't looking great, my boy.
It is not looking great. But with that, guys, this has been the first episode of World Soccer Daily. Make sure you follow us on all social media at arksoccercollective.com. We'll have plenty of not Ark Soccer Collective. That's the website. arksoccercollective.com is the website. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Substack, Ark Soccer Collective as well. We'll have a lot of good content for you guys. We're going to have more content coming out daily, more shows, more podcasts, more everything, more drama, more banter.
Hey, need that.
And with that, we'll see you guys next week.